Welcome back to the second session of this conference. Polarization. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Video, can you?
We're now going to listen to Alexander for his workshop.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Carl,
you're welcome.
if you just click on.
For my presentation now?
Yeah.
Can we do the share screen on the? On my present?
Alexander, can you open your video camera?
Yeah, can
Well,
you?
no, they
Carl,
just did
click
it.
on no, our video's not on, it's your face. You need to,
Oh,
where the video is,
There.
see,
Right
no,
there, right there.
just click on that.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
you're welcome. Oh, this is,
They're opening.
They opened it. Okay,
There you are,
all right. So this is the third presentation.
Okay.
it wasn't showing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. In the, in Bart's, my name is Alexander Berlongi. So even though the name is Carl there, this is the living and relating in the intersection of physics and spirituality. There's a, am I doing my own clicking?
No, you have to
Okay.
ask them when you want to go.
There's a couple of things with this. It's a question of perspective. How do we see the world? And how do we understand what's in between the physics and spirituality? Physics was invented a long time after humans were already here. Spirituality existed originally in a very basic tribal way, and then formal religions were formed afterwards. So what we're going to look at is the foundation for what's at the intersection.
One second, Alexander. I think Dr. Rose should mute herself because we hear some background noise.
Yeah.
Dr. Rose, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. No.
Okay. So please, next slide. Okay, this is very, very basic. Every human is born of a woman. Now, what unites humanity? That every human, 8 billion humans, are all born from a woman. That gives the unity of the world, the oneness of the world, comes from being born from a woman. We take that for granted. That is very powerful. It's so powerful, we even call the earth Mother Earth. We come from Mother Earth. And then the earth was here thousands of years before humans in the creation process. And then humans are born from a woman. So in the GodLight principles, honor and respect must be given to women. Education must be given to women. Opportunities must be given to women. Not only because they are able to give birth, there's something that's extremely powerful, magical, and creative in giving birth. Next slide, please. Now, I'm not going to go over all the details on this slide, but if you look down on number 1, base of the spine, and then it has your genital area, solar plexus, and it goes up. If you look at your body, there's certain things here in the crown, certain aspects of your body that are in this area, like your mind for sure, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your genitals. These correspond with the traditional systems of your body, the organs of your body, the glands of your body, and the way they are structured follows the way that we learn how to live and relate. It's not just understanding biology. It's understanding that in the sequence of a child being born, something takes place in learning how to live and relate that's considered education for humans. That's not only learning how to read and write and arithmetic and how to become a farmer or an engineer. There's something about living and relating in our humanity. And this, our bodies, existed before there was any science and before there was any of our formal traditional religions. So there's something in the roots of our being here that are very, very important, upon which we have all the sciences, upon which we have all the religions. So what's underneath that we have forgotten, that today in our country here in the United States, and your country there in Nigeria, and in every other country that I've been to, Colombia, Peru, Italy, I've taught around the world, we forget that there's something underneath, and we keep putting new sciences on top of it, and there's always new religions that are being invented besides the traditional ones. What's underneath that is directly connected with our biology, what you see on the screen? And that's the ontological perspective. Next slide, please. There's an interconnected oneness of what is physical and what is spiritual, an interconnected oneness of science and religion, an interconnected oneness between reason and faith. The narrative in our Western world is that there's a battle, a war between religion and science, faith and reason. That's a false narrative. They are one and the same. It's human beings generating what it means to be human from a perspective of faith, which is extremely important for your living and relating, and from the perspective of science, which is extremely important for living and relating. Next slide, please. Now, if you look at the religious traditions in our world, in the first row there, it says body. These are our body, and it's all our glands, our organs, everything. So your biography as a human is all registered in your body. Your biography and your biology are connected. So when you get sick in your solar plexus, that means something in regards to how I live and relate, how I am with you. Now, religions were invented, were generated by humans based on divine inspiration. Okay, it wasn't based on science, it was based on divine inspiration. Science came after. Now, if you look at the Kundalini system is more Hindu. The Kabbalah is a Judaic tradition, and the sacraments are a Catholic tradition. Not all Christian religions follow all 7 sacraments. The 7 sacraments are a Catholic orientation. Now, there's a relationship between what is sacramental, the Kabbalah, the energy centers of the Kundalini system. There's a direct relationship. Socioculturally, they have specific definitions and meaning. So for the Roman Catholics, the sacraments mean this. In the Jewish traditions, the Kabbalah, there's 7 levels to the Kabbalah, and they have a specific meaning there. The Kundalini, the energy system in our bodies, they have a certain meaning, and they have their own way of speaking about that. I'm not representing any of those traditions. Okay, there's experts in those traditions. But if you understand them symbolically, if you understand them from the point of view of what it means to be a human, you can follow any of those 3 traditions, and they're doing the same thing. That the Catholic Church has additional dogmas and additional doctrines. That the Kabbalah, the Jewish tradition, has additional ceremonies, additional doctrines based on the Old Testament. They correspond with the sacraments. The energy system of your body, the Kundalini, corresponds with the sacraments and the Kabbalah. And it corresponds with what's happening in your body. And it corresponds with how we live and relate. Next slide. So there's the stages of human living and relating. Okay, these are shared by all systems of religion. They're underneath. If tomorrow there's a new religion invented by someone, it's going to be based on these same 7 levels. If it's really looking at human beings, the nature of being human. So next slide, please. Next. Thank you. If you look at the first level, and I'm going to go through these 4 levels somewhat quickly. The first level, and for Roman Catholics, it's baptism. But it's an energy center at the base of your spine, also from the Kundalini perspective. When you're born, every human is born of a woman. When you're born into a new place. First, you're conceived in her womb. That is the first place where we begin our life here on planet Earth. That's our roots. That's where we come from. We're born into a community, a house, a family. We have a tribe or a community. We have a nation. All of these are groups. Now, and you're taking care of your basic physical survival, how you fit in, how do I belong to this group? You know, GodLight is a new group, a new foundation. How do we fit into that? The university there in Nigeria has a GodLight team. That's a new group. How will people fit in? How do I fit into my family? How do I fit into my political party? And then there's another political party over here that's different, and another one that's different. How do I become part of my group and where I can live? If I want to attend the university as a student, I am a member of a new group, the university. How do I fit into the university? How do I fit into the GodLight Foundation? My family, my political party, my nation. And every human has to deal with that. And in this very first level of belonging, it's there as infants where we learn everything about our culture. Our culture does a download and says, you want to be human here in this group? This is how you have to be. This is what you have to believe. This is what you have to learn. You want to be a human in our group? This is the way it is. And what happens when someone says, I don't know if I fit in? Jesus was born into a Judaic tradition. And he said, I don't know. I'm Jewish, I follow the Judaic tradition, but I have a different way of being part of this group. Jesus chose a new way to be part of the Judaic Jewish culture tradition that was also dominated by Roman polytheism. And Jesus said, all of us, and that's what baptism is, we choose the group and we choose what we want to believe. And what Jesus said was, okay, I'm not denying all the Jewish traditions, but there's something else that he wanted to teach. There's something else. And he taught love and he taught forgiveness. He himself did not create the organization of the church. That was created by humans afterwards that followed him, his vision, his mission. But every human being, you want to educate the children in the GodLight program that you want to do, it's how do they become part of a group? That's very important. In their families, they may have Islamic members in their families, or their neighbors might be Islamic, or their neighbors might be Hindu, or their neighbors might be atheists. How do I fit in with all these people? And we have different beliefs. What we have in common is that we all have our sense of belonging to work on. Next slide, please.
Alexander, sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to mute yourselves, whether it's Christian,
Dr.
Chris?
Rose, please mute your.
How was your exam so far?
Go back. Okay.
There.
All
We're
right.
still getting a lot of background noise. Is it possible? It looks, Dr. Rose, it looks like you are not muted.
Dr. Rose, please mute, because we keep hearing voices. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
You are pulling it through for yourself.
There's still background noise, but.
Oh, Christian, please mute. Emmanuel, please mute.
Oh, you see them? Okay.
Oh, it's Emmanuel. Please mute.
All right. Dr. Rose, please mute still. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. All humans, after we're born, we grow out of our families, the first group, and we learn to connect with others. We go to school, we go into the community, we make friends, we have relationships, we get married, we have children, we have coworkers, we have our neighbors. And this is where people have to learn, what do I do for work in my life? What do I do for money? What about my sexuality? What do I want to create in the world? And working with others means I have to learn how to make commitments with other people, not just my family, with other people. I have to make commitments with my neighbors. If GodLight here is going to make a commitment with GodLight in Nigeria, there needs to be a commitment made. And there's a question of integrity and fulfilling your promises. Any child that you teach that does not know how to keep or maintain a promise is going to have difficulty. No one's going to trust them. Difficulty at work, difficulty in a relationship, difficulty with their neighbors. So underneath being human, there's this, how do I learn to connect, even though I'm maybe different than everybody else? If I come to you, I'm different. I was born here, but my parents were Italian. So I don't know Nigeria. And I have a different background. But we could work together if we learn how to connect. And every human everywhere learns how to do that. You educate your children today in Nigeria, in 10 years, Nigeria is going to be a different country. How do I connect with the differences in 10 years? But I have to realize I have to learn how to connect and adjust to new people, new circumstances, new conditions, new politics. How do we adjust and constantly connect so we can live and relate together? Next slide, please. The next slide has to do not with how I connect with others. It's me with me. It's the world of my individuality. Do I respect myself? Do others respect me? How can I take care of myself, really? And how can I take care of you, who I relate with? I can learn how to I can go to work in level 2 there. I can make money, I can start businesses, I can start open up schools. But what about me? How do I feel about myself? Am I proud of myself? And some of the children that you're going to be educating, some of them are going to have lived pretty traumatic lives. Some will have a better life. Some will have very difficult experiences. What do they think of themselves, their self-esteem, their image, being confident? Do they trust themselves? How much can they risk? I'm afraid of making mistakes. How much responsibility can I assume? I don't know if I want to go to university. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm smart enough. And some other children will say, I can do it. I'm going forward. But there's a difference, and every human being is different. And part of our education and living and relating is, I need to be proud of myself. I need to be sure about myself. This is maybe psychological, but that's the reality. There are some people who've made a lot of money who then commit suicide. They're not taking care of themselves. They don't have an esteem. And if you've been abused as a child, or if you've been victimized by violence, those are difficult to get over, but they have to learn to do that, to love themselves and take care of themselves. These first three are the horizontal world that we all belong to. And every human has to deal with this. Those who do not know how to deal with this, they become drug addicts or alcoholics. They become gamblers. They become criminals because they don't know how to live and relate. Why? Not because they're evil, because they haven't learned how to belong, how to connect, their own esteem. This is the horizontal world that every child must learn. And this is the physical world that we are all part of. The next slide, please. The next slide.
So you raise your hand there.
Thank you. This is a transition. No, just the 4. Go down, back to 4, please. The emotional and balance, okay? This is your heart area in the physical body. It's right here. Also where your lungs are. And there's glands here and your arms and your shoulders, okay? This is a transition. It's no longer only looking at the physical world. I can take the example of Bart, who's sitting right here. He's an accomplished man. He has a family with many children and grandchildren. He started many institutions. He's had success.
Yeah.
At a certain point in his life, he said, I'm going to write a book called GodLight. What am I doing here on earth? Every one of us at some moment says, I have my family, I have my job, I have my education, I have my career. What am I doing here? Why? What's my life about? The best teacher for this was Jesus. Muhammad was probably the best teacher for the horizontal world also. And Buddha will be the best teacher for up here, but we'll get to that. But Jesus said, wait a minute. I'm not of this world. This is the horizontal world. He said, there's another world. There's another kingdom. There's another king. And it's not the Roman one. And he said, I'm not of this world. That's not what I stand for. I'm standing for something else, another world, another truth, another king. Every one of us, and the priests and the nuns there, you know this very well. In traditional religious orders, it's called the dark night of the soul. What am I doing? Every nun and every priest there, they've been priests and they've been nuns for years. And at some moment, they ask themselves, I've done everything. I followed all the rules. I've committed to this. I've helped people. But wait a minute. What about me? Not me as in selfish, me. And it's not only what I'm doing of service. The service you are doing is the horizontal world. What about you? Jesus didn't start a church, while he was alive. That came after. Jesus said, I am not of this world. And if you look, he died on a cross. He died as a criminal in the community. The community said, you are a criminal. You are a heretic going against the Jewish tradition. So, and Jesus said,
English, dictation, vocabulary.
What you tell them we're getting some background. I can't see.
Okay, but this is a very important step because you're going into a vertical world, going towards the spiritual, not just the physical, horizontal world. Okay.
Can someone please mute?
Christian, please mute Christian. Thank you. Good, go ahead.
We can't see who it is. Thank you, Jean-Marc.
Okay, Jean-Marc, just keep an eye on for us on that, okay?
Are you able to mute from yours? No.
Okay. So go to the next slide. This has to do with your free will. It has to do with your voice. What am I here to express in this world? Not just in the words that I say. Deeply, what am I here to do? What is my mission? How do I best express myself? What do I choose? What do I decide? I can do this or I can do this. What is consistent with what is most valuable for me? And this is where you kind of surrender that there's something bigger to the horizontal world. There's something bigger than my business. There's something bigger than my money. There's something bigger than my university. What's going on? There's a divine plan that is happening that we are all a part of. How do I fit into this divine plan? The slide there, the wisdom, that's here. This is the center of wisdom, your brain. In the Kundalini system, it's the third eye. And there you're saying, how can I be certain? Wisdom is not knowledge. Wisdom is not science. Wisdom is, how can I be certain of my beliefs, my values? When my neighbor over here is Catholic, my neighbor over here is Hindu, my neighbor over there is Buddhist, and over here I got an atheist. How can I be sure of what I am doing? And this is where people look for inner direction. They go into prayer and meditation. But you're detaching from the physical world. You're looking in this direction. In the Catholic sacraments, this is ordination. Now, in the Catholic Church, only some people get, or the ordination is only for priests, and in the for people in the religious order, for nuns and brothers, then they also take vows. But it's different than being a priest, but it's the symbol of ordination. How do I want to choose? What do I choose for myself? What do I believe in? And I'm going to live and guide myself with that. But I have a different perspective than this guy and this guy and the girl over there and the girl over here. We have different perspective. And they are all doing the same thing. They are looking for their wisdom. And there's an illusion of certainty in science. You can't be certain about everything, and science thinks that they can. In faith, for many people, you can't prove that God exists, for example. It's faith. God exists. I live by that. Jesus is the Son of God. I live by that. Buddha, I live by that. Allah, I live by that. Everyone is doing the same thing. We are the same. We don't have enormous differences. Socio-politically and culturally, these differences were generated, unfortunately. And they were based on colonialism, imperialism, and then racial differences. All of that is human inventions that went down in the wrong direction. Next slide, please. Every human at some moment says, I've done everything in this world. I'm 76. Bart is 150.
No.
You know, and Sister Amelia, I think she's 17.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Now, finding union with that which is most profound, God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, in the Native American traditions, it's the Great Spirit. What do I align with? And if I grow up and everybody has the same religion, okay, then that's maybe easy. But Jesus grew up surrounded by everybody with the same religion, and he says, wait a minute. My union with God is different. And he said, we are all children of God. All of us, no matter who we are. Every human born of a woman is a child of God. If you're in the Jewish tradition, you don't say child of God. In the Jewish tradition, you say, we are born in the image of God. It's not the same. Image of God, the Kabbalah, the 7 levels of the Kabbalah are, if you are an image of God, if I am an image of God, how do I have to be that image? And the Kabbalah is a guidance for that. In the Catholic Church, the sacraments are a guidance for that. In the Kundalini system, the energy centers are a guidance for that. We're all doing the same thing. We just talk differently. And it has an impact on our body. Finding that inner peace. In the Catholic Church, there's the anointing of the sick. It used to be called extreme unction. The anointing of the sick, what is that? It says, let go of everything here on earth. You're going to reunite with God not in a physical way. It's not the physical horizontal world. You have money, give it to your family, give it to other people. Let go of everything. Now, the sisters and the priests there have already made vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So they've already begun that process a long time ago. But energetically, all of them are still learning that. You are all still learning that. And every child that you want to educate is going to go through these 7 levels, dealing with the horizontal world. How do I fit into this world? This crazy world. And tomorrow there's a revolution and it changes. How do I fit in? I make my money and have my family and have my friends and enjoy life. The joy of a newborn baby, that smile on the baby's face. How do we keep that going? All of these levels aren't sequential. We're dealing with them all the time. Right now, some of you are beginning the new GodLight Foundation there in Nigeria, all right? So you're looking at the spiritual aspect of it, but in the horizontal, you need money, you need organization, you need programs, you need how to teach kids. That's the horizontal world. So, those of you that are in charge, Sister Amelia, and I don't know all your names, but you go down, you're going to the connection world, level number 2. How do I make things work in the world? And you're coming from the horizontal level. Next slide, please. Every human is born of a woman. That's how we start. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, there's a slide missing, but this is where I'm gonna. No, that's okay. Don't worry about. Okay, thank you. Just leave it there. If you look at all of us, we think we are only an individual. I'm Alexander, and Sister Amelia's there, and Bart's over there. We see ourselves as individuals. It's the individuality of the self. In the womb, when you were born, when you were in the womb of your mother, there were no two individuals. There was one body. There was one organism. There was one organism. We begin life here on planet Earth in the womb of our mother. There's a oneness there. I know in the Ubuntu tradition in Africa, they speak about oneness a lot. In the womb, we are one. I have a twin brother. So the oneness had 3 of us. When we're born, we think, now I am an individual. That's kind of an illusion. Yes, I have this body. And yes, I have to go through all these 7 levels of learning in life, how to live and relate. But what about us? Look at the marriages that don't work. Great individuals, but they do not know how to create us together. The wedding ceremony says, now you are officially a couple. But they're not an us yet. They have to generate us. If you take a child, a newborn baby, and you tie up one of its legs, the baby has 2 healthy legs, and you tie one of them up, and you say, okay, go live in the world. That baby will learn how to walk on one leg. It will learn how to walk on one leg. If we do it today, we'll say that's being abusive, that's being criminal, that's being unfair to the baby. But they will learn how to walk anyway on one leg. My perspective is humanity, especially the Western world, has learned how to walk on one leg. And it's normal for everyone. If every human only has one leg and the other one is tied up, we say, that's normal, it's natural. No, we're not designed that way. God did not design us to walk on one leg, unless you have to because of an accident or an illness. We're designed to walk on 2 legs. Individuality is one of our legs. And humans, in the Western world especially, me, and more me, has learned to walk on one leg. The other leg is the leg of us. And I don't mean us as a group. I mean us as in oneness, not us as opposed to us and them. Us as in we. Yesterday, the Professor Jude talked about we mentality. That's what I'm talking about, the we mentality. I loved his presentation. But I am part of an us in one group, and the other group over here who hates me, they have a different us. So we have to learn how to become an us, but not condemn others because they are an us. It's becoming a we. And learning how to walk on two legs. If parents don't learn how to be an us in the family, a father and mother, they'll do whatever they want and ignore the children. There's no us there. If you have a leader in a company, me, I'm the project manager, I do everything. Me, look at me, ain't I great? Look what I did. In Italian, we call that caca. Pardon my expression. Me will not get the job done. It's us forming this group. And if I don't, and that's what collaboration is all about. If I don't learn how to walk on two legs, and I try to work with you, any of you on anything, it'll be me and you, me and you, me and you. We'll get along, we'll get things done, but we're not collaborating. There's no us there. Look at Jesus with his 12 disciples, and Jesus with Mary Magdalene and his mother and his father and his others, John the Baptist. He was saying, we are one. We are an us. And he created a group that went against other groups in a certain way. That's why he was persecuted. He didn't care because he knew what his mission was and his divine mission as the Son of God. Buddha did the same thing. I'm not comparing them. Allah did this, Muhammad did the same thing. And Abraham is the father of the Jewish tradition, the Christian tradition, and the Islamic tradition. Abraham is the father. They all recognize Abraham as the father. And even Islam recognizes Jesus as a prophet. We are so united, except socioculturally we're not. Learning us is one leg that we've been ignoring for centuries, and there's a history for that. We've learned individuality, myself. That is important. Each of you is different. You have different education, different careers, different jobs, different bodies. You're sitting there. But there's a oneness there. When a husband and wife are not able to generate oneness, they're going to have problems. Their sex life isn't going to work if they don't know how oneness. In a community of priests or nuns, if there's a bunch of individuals, that community is going to suffer because the oneness is going to be missing. The us is going to be missing. It's not because they're bad people or wrong people. People who get divorced, they're not bad or wrong. They just don't know how to live and relate. They know how to be a me, but they don't know how to be us. How to think of the bigger picture. Not the kingdom of the earth only, but the other kingdom. Not only the truths and the science of the earth, but the other truth. And Jesus was wonderful at walking on two legs. He knew how to be an individual on this planet. Mother Mary, Father Giuseppe, good Italian name. He knew how to do it. And he taught us how to do it. And I'm not going to, Buddha did the same thing. Socioculturally, then everything got kind of swallowed up on certain things. Colonialism, imperialism came, and but those are human inventions. And everyone has these 7 levels that we're working on all the time that are practical. When I work with people in all the programs I've done, I can't use the word God. I can do it here because of GodLight. But sometimes I'll have a room full of Islamics or full of Buddhists. So I always use the word trusted source. That we all have a trusted source. God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, the Great Spirit. And the Native Americans, and I know them very well, they have a different tradition. So they didn't belong to any of these churches before. They didn't even exist when they were there years ago. What they said was, we're not humans having spiritual experiences or looking for experiences. We are part of the Great Spirit having human experiences. The horizontal world is all our human experiences. My mother and my father and everything beautiful that happened and everything awful that happened. My community, whether I live in a palace or whether I live in a place that's filled with violence. We all have experiences. Who am I? I am a spiritual being looking for experiences. And if my experience wants to be teaching at a university, okay, good, that's your choice. Go for it. If mine is to have a family and have children, go for it. If mine is to become a priest or a nun, beautiful, go for it. But we're all learning the same things. And there's different levels to this. The first is the nature of who we are in our being. Then there's movements. And I have another presentation for that, but I don't know if I'll get to it. But there's 5 movements that are always consistent with that. And it's predictable. In I'll just do project management. It always begins with formulation. And then you go into concentration. And there's a huge difference. Then it goes into stability. Then it goes into movement. And then it goes into its completion. But in a project, like the beginning of your GodLight project, you spend almost all your money in formulation. If you're building a bridge, you buy all the cement, all the metal, all the equipment before you even start building. That's when you spend all your money in formulation. Concentration is a different movement. So there are different ways of being in each of those. Okay. And that's the second level of education. The first is your being, your nature of who we are as an us. The second is the movements. The third is the communication. Language and communication, which is God's gift to humans. Other animals don't have this. We create in language. So the way I'm talking right now is not the same as if I'm talking to a waiter in a restaurant ordering my meal. It's not the same as asking the technicians that are working there, please do this, please do that, please do this. It's a different kind of communication that requires a lot of supervision. And it's a different kind of communication than saying this, okay? Sister Amelia, I know that you're the spearhead for this whole program. You met Bart and Karen in Madrid, and you said, I'm going to do this. What you did took courage. Because you know that that you were inventing something new. It's kind of like, please, and I want you to be humble about this, but I also want to recognize you. Mother Teresa did the same thing. She went against all the other nuns, not against them. She said, what am I here for? And she started doing things, and her community began to criticize her for doing it, helping the ones who needed it the most. It took courage for her to do that. And it was not easy for her. I met her one time in Torino, Italy. And it was a church full of people. Most of them were drug addicts. I was invited by a group of prostitutes and a group of drug addicts who I met there by mistake. And I'm not a drug addict, and prostitution is not my world. They said, Alexander, you got to come and listen to Mother Teresa. I went with them. And Mother Teresa sat in this huge church and with a little microphone. And you could hear a pin drop. So it took courage for her to do that. It takes courage for every one of you. I acknowledge you, Sister Amelia, but I could do the same for Bart and for Karen and for Carl and for everyone who's listening here. Everyone. It takes courage to not only take care of your horizontal world, but look vertically. Because they'll think you're crazy. They think you're weird. So what? Jesus was the craziest, weirdest person alive. So was his mother. And so were all the other apostles. And so was Buddha. And so was Muhammad. And so was Abraham and Moses. And the list is all over the world. There's 8 billion people right now that are just like all of us. We have been blessed. We are receiving grace right now. The opportunity of this conference is grace. The opportunity to do what's next, educating children who desperately need it. That's an act of grace. You've been given that grace. I've been given the grace to speak right now. And that symbol you see there, the drawing of Mother Earth. If you look at that, you see plants, you see animals, you see minerals, the earth, and you see humans. The us, the we, the oneness that I'm talking about includes them. Mother Earth is part of we, it's part of us. If we destroy it, it's like killing our mother. Humans are pretty good at that. Pretty good at war. Pretty good at violence. Look at the differences in our poor and wealthy. But if you look at the earth, how can we learn us? And I'm just going to finish with this. Plants. Plants are givers. What we can learn from plants is to give. Plants are giving to us. They give us our food. They give us wood. They give us shelter. They give us shade. Plants are givers. You want to learn how to give? Listen to plants. Animals, cats and dogs, elephants and snakes, and all the beautiful animals, they know how to give. Receive. You want to learn how to be a human? Give and receive. But you can learn that by looking at plants, looking at animals. Look at a herd of elephants. They know how to give. They know how to be us, a oneness. We need to learn from plants and animals. We forgot to learn from them. We think learning is only for humans. Look at the earth, the minerals. The earth holds us. Gravity holds us here on earth. Without gravity, we're flying off into the universe somewhere. The earth holds us. Your body is held together because of nitrogen and hydrogen and all the elements. Your body, you want to learn how to hold and support your families, your students, your friends, your husbands and wives. Look at the earth. Falling in love is gravity, right? You fall in love. Learn gravity. Keep your feet on the earth. What do humans do? So plants and animals are great at giving and receiving. We should learn from them. The earth, the minerals, the earth, the physics of our planet, chemistry, biology, that's all material. How to hold and how to support. Look at your body, what it supports you every day in so many things. That's why we have to learn how to hold and support. The way a mother holds her baby in her womb, that's holding, that's supporting. The mother is giving all the minerals that baby needs to grow. And the baby is giving back to the mother so much. The baby gives birth to the mother, and baby supports the mother. Humans, our ability is we know how to generate in language, in these kinds of conversations. We know how to determine what's going to happen next. Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? Animals and plants don't do that. That's a human ability. You want to learn how to collaborate? If you don't know how to receive and give, you can't collaborate. You don't know how to hold what's going on. You go into a meeting and everybody's fighting. How do you hold that space? How do you take care of, how do you hold everybody in that space? One day they're fighting, one day they all love each other. And the next day you get there and they're all gone. How do you hold something together? That's learning from planet Earth. Humans can generate conversations and communication. And there's different ways of communicating for all these different things that I'm talking about. There's some things in common, but there's different ways. Different ways to be, and different ways to communicate. I could go on forever because I love to talk, but I want to listen to you because I think that's more important. Questions or sharing.
I'll throw one out if it's all right. First of all, thank you. That was marvelous. And it's so related to GodLight, but yet it's ontological and it's a different aspect of the philosophy and as a spirituality and science. And to me, what you brought out so powerfully was that initial activity, the conception being in the mother, of the mother, because if it doesn't happen there, it never happens. There's no human being that comes out if it doesn't happen at that level. And so one of the questions I have is that if we could stay mentally and physically at that level, I mean, even beyond conception and birth, but for the first few years when you're so dependent on each other, I think once a child becomes less dependent on the mother, then they separate, they go off and do that. So I'm looking, for ideas here in terms of how can we try to go back to that time period. And it is a time period because we're space and time. So it changes in time and it changes in space because you get bigger and you do different things. So it seems to me that's the part that's potentially the us. It is the us, period. It is the us. Potentially to return to the us is to go backwards, to be childlike, to be, loving and all of that. So I think it's the form of a question in that, is that the place to start, or is that the place to try to get to? Once you're beyond that, once you become me, if you want to return that way, I'm not sure I'm phrasing it properly, but if you could comment on that, I think that would be wonderful.
Yes, there's something, part of what's underneath the question is time.
Yeah.
So as a physicist, you space time and space time together. Right now, we are living in the present moment, right? And the future doesn't exist. There is no future. It's only spoken in our words. So plants and animals don't live in the future, and they don't live in the past. For them, there's no time. So part of humans is that if you want to, there's three things to revolutionize or to change your perspective about time. So right now, every one of the projects of everyone who's listening, we all have a vision. So the vision is right now. So I heard God's vision. So the vision is right now. It isn't in the future. It isn't in the past. It's right here and now. So everything that me, Alexander Berlongi, can accomplish in my life is right now. I don't have to worry about accomplishing it in the future, except for humans, we determine and we generate. So we have conversations with people in Nigeria, with people in Canada, people in Italy, here. We generate a future in our conversations. And there's a whole way of understanding language there. Now, cats and dogs and other animals don't do that. We do. So humans have generated also industrially and technologically. Look at the technology we have here. We're talking to people all over the world. We've generated that. But the vision of generating whatever tools we have can either go in a direction where we accomplish or not. So a lot of our industrial and technology has also destroyed or damaged our earth. And it's also made people poor and some people richer. So, but when you have a vision, Jesus on the cross, he didn't say, this is what I'm going to do in the future. He said, this is it. What I'm doing right now, being tortured, spit upon, and on the cross, this is it. So the way to be with time is saying, I'm going to stick to my vision. And there are times when you're going to be challenged. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane and said, please, God, what am I doing? What's going on here? He was human just like us. So, but he had his vision. He could have run off, escaped. He could have gotten away. He stuck to his vision and he said, this is the way I am going to do it. This is my message. And he didn't know. Then he left it up to his followers to take it from there. Our past, there is no past. Where is it? It's in my body and my genetics. We can say there's a past there. I look like my mother, my father, my great-grandfather. But there is no past. Your past is in what you repeat. So if you do something beautiful today that you did yesterday and the day before, that's where your past is. You learn how to meditate, you learn how to pray, you learn how to dance, you learn how to sing. Everything is right now, and you repeat what I do right. If I start to dance and sing right now, that's part of my repetition. It's not in the past, it's what I'm doing right now. And even the moment now, the present, even that isn't, from a physics point of view, a reality. There is no present, past, or future in physics. Right now, how do I live with my past in human terms? What am I repeating that works? What do I do that makes me a better person relating with other people? And repeat that and do that. I want to make more money, then I repeat what works for making more money. I want to be more famous, I repeat that. I repeat being kind, I repeat being humble, I repeat being generous, or I repeat being violent, I repeat being abusive, I repeat being criminal, corrupt. The repetitions are right now. So if I want to change something, I change the repetitions. Okay. Now, how do I change my present, a new relationship with the present? I call it anticipation. So, for example, we're anticipating a future for GodLight here in the States and here and in Nigeria. Okay. Now, from one perspective, we say, well, it's not here yet. It's not here yet. Okay. From the other perspective, if tomorrow there's the World War #4 and there's no more humans on the planet, there'll be animals and plants, they'll continue, there'll be life. But then everything that we thought we would do in the future is right now. So live right now as if it is. Look at what we do with Santa Claus. Here in the States, they celebrate Christmas with a lot of Santa Claus. Okay, so, and they tell children, Santa Claus is coming, next month, on December 25th, Santa Claus is coming, right? So it's the commercial part of Christmas, that's the way it is. And children, oh yeah, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. They're already anticipating, they're already living as if Santa Claus was there. And children never see Santa Claus. They prepare a Christmas tree, they prepare presents, and they fall asleep, and Santa Claus comes when they're asleep. And the next day, all the presents are there, but nobody ever meets Santa Claus. But they live in anticipation of that. If I, am 25 years old again, and I want to get married and have children, well, I meet a wonderful woman, and right now, I'm 25 years old, and I've met the woman that I'm going to marry. I already see our children. I already see our house. I already see our cars. I see all of that, and I'm still living, much less than that. So what? It's living in anticipation is as if. What happens in the future, that depends on our ability to generate and to create. Okay. Now, in the question that you asked about time, it's like, the present moment and the future, if you don't have a vision in life, you'll get bored, everything will seem useless, You'll get non-committed. People will say, come on, do something, because you don't have a vision. And that's what children need to learn, their vision. And all little children have a vision. And they forget because they have to do this, they have to do that. Okay, they're not allowed to sometimes. So transforming your relationship with past, present, and future is living with vision, being aware of what you repeat that does not work, and the good things that do work, and living as if there is no future. This is it. This is the beauty. Jesus on the cross, he said, this is it. This is the beauty of being divine, the Son of God. This is what I've accomplished. I've been here. I gave my message. This is it. I've done everything I need to be here to do. And then he rose from the dead after. However, his message to the criminals next to him, he looked at one and that guy said, look at the horizontal world, start a revolution. You have followers, start a revolution. And he said, you're a wonderful man, but you don't understand me. The other guy on the other said that he was a criminal also. He said, Jesus, I've made mistakes. And Jesus said, yes, you understand me. Stop repeating your same mistakes. And then the guy died. But he learned. And so this is it. We are in this world, and this is it. And I'm going to leave one more thing about that. The illusion is that we're not one. It's really, really, really an illusion. It doesn't deny our individuality. We are all children of God, sons of God, in the image of God. And every religion says the same thing in a different way. We are one. And we've been put here in a biosphere on planet Earth. So what we're doing right now, if tomorrow, we all aren't here anymore, that's okay. It's okay. Look in your heart, really. There's a lot to do, but there's nothing more to do. Do more, do more, do more, do more. What you're doing right now is everything possible that you can do. I've been the one speaking, but I've been receiving much, much more. The listening that you're giving me, jeez, you don't even know me. And you're listening. And yesterday we listened to you. There's all the technicians there that are holding this space. Every technician. We do the speaking, we're the important ones. We can't do it without the technicians, the ones serving the food, the one cleaning the room. They're holding this space. This conference is successful because of them. This technology with all this stuff here. So in one way, we've already accomplished something incredibly beautiful in the name of God, in the name of GodLight. In one way, there's nothing left to do. When I said every human is born of a woman, that was very, very important. If you learn nothing else in life, realize that. If every woman had the same possibilities and opportunities as every man, the earth would be a whole different world. And I learned that from Native Americans, the Indians here in America. They said there's two big truths. Just learn what it means to be born from a woman. That's incredible. God used the woman to bring us here. And the way we've treated them historically has been awful. And being a woman doesn't mean only having children. Being a woman goes much deeper than that. And the other truth is protect the children. All we have to do here on earth is to protect our children. Your education programs, that's one way you're protecting children. The security and the law enforcement, those are other ways. All the churches, but protect the children. And that's what this GodLight program is about, and that's, I know what you're about there in the university as well. But if we do nothing else in life, recognize where we come from here on earth, from a woman, and recognize that we need to protect our children. If you look at that from a physics point of view or material point of view, you look at government and culture and social structures. If you look at it from a spiritual point of view, then you say protecting our children, that's where our children come from the Creator. So at the intersection in Bart's book, the intersection of physics and spirituality, this is what I'm talking about. Bart is really, really good at the physics, but his vision was also what I'm saying. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to comment.
Okay.
So, well, first of all, Alexander, I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights from the heart. It was very powerful. Even brought a tear to my eye at one point. And I learned a lot. And myself, I'm a father of a 9-year-old son who was born at 27 weeks. So he's a miracle. He's a fighter and a survivor. And I understand that, the responsibility of being a parent, and how to bring a whole human being in this world, and how to actually, my son, why he's alive today and why he's thriving through, is because of love. Is because in the first moments of his birth, he was in this incubator, and I put my hand inside the incubator with my little finger here, and he held with his little hand my finger, and I did this click, click, and he answered. He squeezed twice his hand. So it was the first bond between me and my son. It was a communication. I told him, I love you. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that this is what gave him the strength and the will to fight for his life, because it was a fight. And I'm also a visionary and a leader, and I'm working on a project called Sound of Joy, and it's to reinvent education for a thriving future in the US and potentially a global project. So I took so many notes from what you said. It was so important, as you said, that children, start with, again, their roots in this world, and the belonging, as you said, to their core, their family, their tribe, their community. And you mentioned self-esteem and how to live and relate, how to connect, how to, build trust, and not being afraid of making mistakes. And yes, and the project is called Sound of Joy, and you talk about the joy of a newborn baby, the smile on his face, and the laughter of a child. When children laugh, it's so beautiful, it's so pure and contagious. So thank you so much for sharing and for everything you said. And I'd like to ask you one simple questions for myself or for the people in Nigeria who work with children and want to improve the well-being of children. What advice would you give us? The ones who want to help improve, change the way things are to make it better. What advice? What would you tell us?
I'll answer that in the opposite way in an opposite way. The best thing that I could do with that is listen to you. There was here in a high school, it's to really listen to one another. We all have our perspectives. We get very positional and right about our perspective, and we don't listen to others. And I've been talking a lot here, and there's a way of listening where you can listen to other people, even though sometimes they're not talking. You can see it on their face. There was a high school here in Columbine High School many years ago. There was a shooting where 17 teenagers got shot in the school, and the teenagers, all the students it was very difficult for them. Now, it's things like that are happening all over the world, where schools, children are getting attacked in many different ways. But they asked a famous singer who was considered kind of crazy, Marilyn Manson, who was very dramatic and kind of unusual. Okay, and they asked him, what would you tell all these teenagers? And he said, I would listen to them. We adults, and I mean, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. We think that we always have so much to offer our young people and our children, and we do. We really do. Okay. But they have so much to offer us. Anyone who's taught children, you teach them and then you realize, oh man, I'm getting paid, but they're teaching me a lot more. So it's kind of like the nativity scene, Jesus being born in a stable. And three kings or three wise men coming to listen to baby Jesus. And the baby there in the stable wasn't talking yet like a human. But those three could just listen to him. They could listen to Jesus, not the words. They could listen to the being, the message that he was already giving. And they came from far away just to see that, to listen to him. He couldn't talk yet. He didn't have a vocabulary. When you're holding the hand of someone who's dying and they can't talk, you listen. They're in a coma. You listen. They have Alzheimer's. You listen. And there's a connection of us that happens in that listening that is profound. When you're overjoyed, you hug each other in joy and you laugh. You're not talking, but there's a profound listening. When you're sad, in grief, someone has died or suffering or hurting, you hold each other. That's a kind of listening. They don't need advice at that moment. They don't need our words so much. Maybe later, but not right away. Plants know how to listen to us, and they do. Animals know how to listen to us, and they do. The earth knows how to listen to us, and it doesn't talk. God never knocks on our front door and talks to us. God doesn't show up with a telephone. He doesn't call us on our cell phones. God listens to us continually. If we listen to ourselves, we're not listening to God. And it's pretty tricky. I listen to God and I say, oh, he told me this, and you listen to God and he said, and so there's something powerful about listening. And it can help you in your spiritual life, and it can help you be a better business person or a better teacher or a better husband or wife, a better priest or a better nun. Profound listening. And there's ways of listening to that, which, of learning that.
I was thinking, Alexander, that we're about to finish this conference and then there'll be something afterwards. One of the things proposed is the GodLight Foundation Nigeria. And you saw from Sister Mary's paper the different things that we're hoping to accomplish there. It sounds to me like our best approach would be to get very young people, maybe even younger than the ones that Sister Mary was thinking about, 15, maybe from a kindergarten standpoint, and grow because of the listening that goes on between those children and the openness to the listening. It's more than just listening, it's being open to it, to kind of form the foundational being that we want to have in the future. Okay, I mean, you start, like you said, right now from the present. How do you start from the present? Well, you got a bunch of people, little ones, who have the wisdom of not having the life experience of us adults, and we listen to them, but we also feed them with information so that they grow into. I'm sure there have been communities in the past that have tried that, people that go off clans and isolate themselves from humanity and all that, but those people grow up and there's a leader that's trying to, get them in a particular direction. They don't grow up from nothing. So I don't have it formulated yet, but I'm trying to take what you said and say, okay, we're going to end this conference in a few minutes. So that'll be the end of that. But then the next step, let's take the GodLight Foundation Nigeria as a reasonable next step. There may be many other next steps, but that's where we can perhaps apply some of the wisdom and knowledge that you shared with us to kind of craft it in a way that, from a scientific standpoint, increases the probability of there being an us. I mean, you want to increase the probability of there being an us. Start with the us that exists sort of naturally with the young people and try to not control it, but, kind of aim it vision wise in the right direction.
Profoundly, yeah, I heard profoundly listen.
Yeah.
Live with a vision. Be aware of what you're repeating, what works and doesn't work, and live as if there's no future to some extent, thinking, we have to do it now.
Well,
Live for now.
as if what's in the future is already here.
It is already here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, those are important points, not easy to actually achieve. I mean,
I have a whole workshop on that. Because
Yeah.
in those things there, all our emotions, how all the emotions that we experience come from those.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, great words, great insight, and I think I'm always looking for the application. How can we use this great insight? And as we started GodLight, I was hoping that everybody, as old or I am or younger, could get back to that fundamental GodLight that occurs in in actually, the first moments of life after conception. There's GodLight right there, and then it grows. And then it seems like the older you get, the temptations, life kind of comes at you. And how you deal with that life can easily become not us and become me. That's where the separation occurs. It's tricky because obviously the world is at that, what you call the horizontal level. The world's there. So here you come charging in as a little horizontal neophyte, and the world hits you really hard. Like you got to be good looking, or you got to be rich to do it. So it's a tough job, but I think it does give us some insights. Jean-Marc was leaving.
Thank you, Jean-Marc.
Oh, is he leaving?
Yeah, thank you so much, Alexander, for your response. Thank you, everyone. I have another meeting to attend. I need to leave, but I love this conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc.
Bye-bye. Bye.
What about the Nigeria gang? Maybe we got to throw it back at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Professor Madu, and I have listened with keen interest in what you have been discussing. In Nigeria here, we have in our cosmological blueprint this issue of the we mentality. And I have, from what we have been discussing all along, that you have been trying to let people know about this cosmic unity.
Cosmic deity.
In a sense that the entire world would come together as one, believing in the fact of contraries, that even the opposites that we have in life, that these opposites are there to complement one another. So that at the end of the day, both the this and that status will eventually meet to form a synthesis. Now, there's something here in Africa, in Nigeria here, because he talks especially about the past. The past. And what was done in the past is what we are still repeating. And that is the reason why he said, there is nothing like the past, but you always live in the present. So my worry is that in as much as we want to create a world family, where we shall come and live as a family, here in Nigeria, in Africa, there is this tendency of all of us here to feel that whatever is happening over there in the Western world, because of what we were taught, or because of our historical antecedents, that whatever we have here must be subordinated to what we have in the West. To the extent that the inferiority complex, which was generated here as a result of the slave trade, for instance, as a result of colonialism, and these things are still breathing up here to the extent that to come together as one, to unite as one, and to align ourselves with the West, we always find it difficult to look at ourselves also as inferior to the West. And because of what is happening in the West, for instance, especially the issue of racism, yes, the issue of racism, for instance, in America, then, and the mission of the GodLight. The mission of the GodLight is very good, very important, very, very fine. Bringing every person together because of one thing, the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. And this brotherhood of man is premised against the fact that all of us are born by women. If this is the case, I want you to tell us what GodLight, especially in America, especially those of you who have this type of mind, the mind of what they call uno, one mind, where the world will become a family, where everything will be done in such a way that every person will know and we believe and we act in accordance with God. Because God, after all creation, after creating everything, He said, all of them are good. So that organizational factor which God exhibited in the creation of the universe is being expressed today. And I am asking you who are there, who are members of this GodLight, how are you making it possible for your brothers and sisters over there to align with this particular mission, to align with this particular vision, this vision of oneness that will eventually create a world family where there will be no longer this question of discrimination, this question of deciding, because sometimes we feel here that whatever is happening here in Africa, in Nigeria here, is being determined by the forces over there from the West. That is sometimes, that is what we feel. So how are you making it to make sure that every other person will align with this type of mentality, this type of we mentality, where we can, at the end of the day, be in a position to create a world family where I, as a Nigerian, can come and relate with an American, relate with a British person, relate with any other person in such a way that we'll be relating in accordance with that type of relationship with God, in His infinite mercy, with God, as God, with His light, was able to create a harmonious society, a harmonious world. This is exactly where our problem lies. To be able to get the Western world to know exactly this is that you know, so that at the end of the day, this particular world family that you are actually advocating, and which I myself am also advocating, will come to be a reality. So that there will be no question of inferiority complex, superiority complex, as a matter of fact, so that the world, as a matter of fact, will come to know that we are all children of God, and therefore we are all brothers and sisters, and therefore share everything equally in this particular world. Thank you.
Well, one thing that's very clear when in your speaking, is that your vision is incredible. And you're also, your commitment and your dedication to what you want to achieve is beautiful. I'll say one thing. As long as we have the feeling of, well, we're here, but not yet. We're here, but it's not yet. What do we do next? We're here, and we do have to plan. We do have to determine, go forward, and the next conversation, the next meeting, the next project, etc. But if tomorrow you're not here anymore, what you just said was now. It was your vision was fully present. And you're asking for the next commitment. You're asking for the next promise. Now what? Now what? Now what? In terms of living your vision, allow yourself to put aside what's next. That will happen. The next conversation, that will happen. But to let go of the frustration of, well, it's not yet. It's not yet. It's not yet. It's not yet. Okay, that will happen because of what you just said. And when you spoke, your vision became real for us here in this room, but also for those in the room there, and for the people who will listen to this video in the future. So it's you are so committed and so dedicated to what you're saying. That is evident and it's beautiful. You know, you're a guy that people want to work with because of your vision. It's already happened. It's a timelessness. I'm saying something weird, but there's a timelessness to it. It already is. It really, really already is. We just haven't seen the fruit. When you plant a seed, you don't have leaves yet. You don't have the fruit yet. But it already all is in that seed. And what you're asking is, how do we water the seed so that it grows and the tree has fruit? It already is in the seed fully. And you're part of that seed. Now, how do you water the plant? How do you prune the plant, etc.?
And protect it from all of the
Yeah.
other elements, right, that we're anticipating based on past experience,
Yeah.
right? That seed can grow.
In the university, you have a lot of agriculture programs and farming. If you listen to the way they plant, the way they harvest, and how they relate with the seasons and relate with the elements, everything is happening already in the seed. It needs water, it needs sunlight, it needs protection, it needs etc. And that's what you teach in the farming. But if you don't have that seed, you can't do it. So what you're saying is, okay, we need the next conversation where commitments, we talk about what's possible, and now we're going to do this. Sister, in the program that was presented before, there was quite a good outline for the plan. And now it will require the next conversation. What we humans do is we talk. We talk and we talk and we talk. There's a way of communicating where you can produce results and move forward. And there's a way of communicating where nothing's going to happen. It's just blah, blah, blah. So what's next really is choosing the right conversation where commitments will be made and moving forward from there. The one thing you said about the cosmic deity or the divine, our perspective as humans is what it is. We're human. So we see things in terms of male, female. We see things as masculine and feminine energies. There's the masculine, there's the feminine. The moon is feminine, the sun is masculine. We always see from that perspective. In the oneness, there's no difference in the way the energies evolve, and this is part of physics. Then there is the difference between the polar energies and the masculine and feminine. But in the end, we're all just human in that oneness. So in giving importance to women, it's not only creating, it's not getting a pope that's a female. It's not getting, making all the leaders in the world only women. It's getting that energy that is a woman, one, giving her respect always, and then seeing the oneness in it. So it's what can a human accomplish, whether they're male or female. And there are gifts in being a woman and gifts in being a man, and creating a balance for that. But it's in physics, in the terms of light, they talk about, well, is it a particle or is it a wave? Is it a particle or is it a wave? And some say particle, some say wave, and then some say, wait a minute, there's a combination of the two. It's particle wave. Is it time or is it space? Well, wait a minute, Einstein, there's space time. So it's the same in our perspective about men and women. So in our human experience, we do live, I'm a man, and over here there's a woman. But there's one. So in physics, there's space-time, and there's particle and waves are all together. There's light. So you're asking what's next, it's really is what light switch will we turn on? And the light switch may be a light switch that comes from you. It might come from others who are listening. It might come from people here in the room. But the minute somebody says, this is the switch, and their light begins to shine, just like yours in your question, that opens up a new opportunity to have a new conversation. So if there's going to have to be another meeting where commitments are made, this is what you do, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. But that, in one way, it's already been done. We don't have God's perspective. It's very difficult for us because we only think as humans. And our perspective is human. Even angels, they have a different perspective than God. Okay, it's very different. And I don't even know if God has a perspective, but that's what we humans say.
He mentioned racism also in the Western world, so that's probably something also to consider. Like that could be a challenge to overcome, but I mean, I think with GodLight that doesn't exist. Right?
No, okay, I'm sorry. Some of the things I wasn't able to.
I believe and make it, you can
All right.
confirm.
Well, I'll say something about racism if that's what you mentioned also. There was a time when there was no racism, for sure. Okay. When it got solidified as a way that the Western world now looks at the world, and it came with a guy named Carl Linnaeus who began organizing, all the different kinds of plants and all the different kinds of animals and all different kinds of elements, so his system, Carl Linnaeus, okay? And at one moment he said, oh, well, there's red people and there's black people and there's yellow people and there's white people. And that's where scientifically, which is not science, but that's where kind of it came from. So that the Western world, mostly Europe, began looking at everybody from colors, which it's only skin tone. And if you're blind, you don't see it. But that also became culture. So people from Africa, they have a black culture, and people, white culture, and Native American are red, and then there's the yellow. We took cultures and we began dividing them up into colors. And that's how racism really started in the Western world. Aristotle also said 500 years before Jesus, 400 years before Jesus, he had a philosophy that has dominated our Western world. And he said, some people are born slaves. And the Western world has always maintained that. In the Americas, when the colonization happened here in the Americas. The Spaniards, the English, they came, okay, they colonized, and they said, what do we do with the Indians? Are they human? Are these Indians, are they human? Or are they just other animals? Are they human? And they had a long debate in Spain. And all the people in the 1500s, and all the people who were with Aristotle said, some people are born slaves, and that includes women. Okay, and some people are not born slaves. Okay, that was one side of the debate, and this happened in Valladolid, Spain. The other side of the debate says, no, all humans are children of God. We should treat them equally. What happened was these were theologians, these were Catholic theologians that were arguing, and some of it were Neoplatonists, some of them were scholastics, and they never agreed. They never agreed. What do we do with Native Americans? Okay. Meanwhile, slavery already existed before colonization. They were taking slaves from Africa. Okay, because they philosophically they never dealt with it. And so what they said was, well, we can't agree philosophically or theologically. One side says this, one side said that. What do we do? And what they did was they said, well, if they accept baptism, then they're okay. If they don't accept baptism, they can be slaves. And that's how genocide started also. Anyone who's not baptized, we can get rid of them. They're slaves. They're not human. Philosophy has had an enormous impact. I know the priests there studied theology and they've studied philosophy. And most of it was scholasticism and some Neoplatonism. But those philosophies have conditioned the Western world that then when they began to colonize and began the imperialism and colonization, they took that. But it's been in our Western world solidly. Here in the United States, we have enormous problems with racism, and they want to deny it.
So addressing these challenges in Nigeria with GodLight kind of overcomes that, right? Erases that. You can't be in the light. I don't think racism and being in the light can coexist, right?
No. And every human, and it would be a blessing if we were all blind so we couldn't see each other.
Yeah.
Every human shines a light. It's incredible. And they're doing it every day, always. I know in the northern part of Nigeria, there's been serious violence in conflicts between religious traditions and groups. Those people born and who are the most awful victims, they've been victimized. Communities have been slaughtered and tortured because of religious beliefs. Every human, even the most criminal, there's a community in the north there. I don't know the name, where they built communities where people could begin farming again, and they had homes and they brought water, and they took some of the most awful, most violent terrorists and they re-educated them. You know the history better than I do. Not everybody, of course, but there's so many of those young people who grew up with a rifle in their hands who were taught to kill. You know that as a fact. You're very clear on that. And some of those young people who killed were taken And this is part of the government had some programs, you know that. That those young people were taken and re-educated, and they became responsible people in the community.
Very young.
So even the most criminal people, the awful, the ones that represent evil to us, there is a light. There is a light. If you go deep underwater, there's no light that we can see with our eyes. If you go into a cave where there's zero light, okay, we can't see with our eyes. Light, from a physics point of view, is not only what we can see in the colors. There's a radiation that happens deep down in a dark cave, and you put glasses on and you can see some light. And it takes just one little piece of light, like every one of you, that can go into the darkest, the most evil place. And it might kill you very quick, maybe. But that little piece of light changes everything. So what we're doing with education for young people is so that their light can always get bigger and they can shine and they can be happy people in whatever they want to do.
You know, in a way, it's almost our own fault that we have created the situation that we're in. I mean, we have taken young children and told them they're different from other people, differentiated them, told them they have to achieve. In other words, we're giving them the light, the same light falls on everybody, right? I mean, and there's nothing else but light. I mean, this planet, the only thing coming in is light. It isn't like somebody's drilling and there's a lifeline to another planet and more stuff's coming. The only thing that's hitting the planet is light. So therefore, the only thing that's hitting human beings is light. And you're right. I mean, it's gamma rays that you can't even see. But I think what we've done, we've taken that light and we've sort of told young people, this is the way you ought to be. This is the light that you ought to go. In other words, we filtered it. We humans, as adults, have filtered the light that they're getting because we put, physically, we put, areas on their body, films on their body that don't allow that light to come in. I mean, I'm using just light now as the only source. And so it's at that level that we really have to make the difference if the future is going to be different than the past. Now, I don't know what the right age bracket is to do it. It may be from 0 to 10. Re-educating somebody who's 25, who's now a drug dealer, to get back to that level is a tough process. And that doesn't mean we ignore it. But it would seem to me the productivity of this whole thing, the efficiency, the effectiveness of the whole thing of GodLight would be to focus on those that are less reflecting the light away or taking the light the wrong way. In other words, I'm looking at them as sources of absorption of the light, and some are more ready to absorb than others. But by the time you get to be a 25-year-old kid in the Harlem, drug area, you're rejecting everything. In other words, now I don't know if this is a solution, but it may be something to think about as we go forward. How can we be most effective? And it may not be an instant payoff. I mean, you might say, gee, we really should go after the people that are causing all the problem, but they might be so difficult to do that you almost have to say, well, let's hope they'll die off someday. In a way, it's evolution, right? If you think of survival of the fittest from a GodLight standpoint, you want the people who really love GodLight to survive versus the people who don't. And that may not jive with the reality of it all, because the guy who doesn't believe in GodLight may have a gun. And the one that does, is saying, oh, I don't have to protect myself. God is, going to protect me. So who wins in that situation? Well, the guy with the gun shoots the guy without the gun, you know, and so it gets worse. So it seems to me that we got so much to do to change the world. Where do we start? And if we started young, and I don't know how to do that, that's teachers and educators, we may have a better shot at changing the world.
Yeah, well,
You know?
well, light, we get light from millions miles away. We get light from the universe that keeps millions and millions of miles away. That takes years and years and years to get here.
15 billion. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're receiving it all the time. Each one of us in our rooms here is that light. And so, I find myself sometimes, I mean, I almost need to apologize because sometimes I get too intense, when I speak. But it's the light that each of us is shining right now already makes that difference. Making it into a project, that's coming. I mean, the projects will come. So what each of you is doing right now, in whatever positions you are and whatever, is you're learning to shine that light, which if we're receiving it from millions of miles away, we're also sending it millions of miles away. So the light, I always want to kind of temper that it's not done yet and it's done. We're not going to change the light in our universe. It's here. It's here. So we're just learning how to be it and how to shine it so that other people can be it. And, there'll be projects that do that. But meanwhile, every one of us here, every one of us learns to shine that light. And if my life, I'm 76, there'll be a moment when I don't get to play in this light anymore, the light of the earth or the universe in this way. Have I accomplished what I want in my life? Have you accomplished what you want in your life? You have to trust that every moment you are shining that light. And then we create projects that will help other people do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. We only got about 8 minutes left, right?
Well, I don't know if they have something else we're supposed
They
to
might,
be
yeah.
putting in here.
Okay, yeah, maybe we gotta ask them because the last session, which was me and Sister Mary, starts at 10:30 our time.
I believe, and
Yeah,
so
we believe, yeah.
let's do a check-in.
Yeah, let's do a check. That doesn't mean you ought to stop now because
Okay,
there's an endpoint.
You don't know how I wish I could be talking to each of you personally in person.
Next conference.
Next time,
Yeah.
we're coming there.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is this, though. I'd like to do is this. This is an exercise, but it's more than an exercise. I'd like you to turn to the people on both sides of you.
Should we check if they're still there?
Yeah,
'Cause I see they're off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure,
see what's his gun on that, Jerry? Yeah, they put the banner up over.
Oh, you are there.
You're all there, okay. All right. I'd like to,
And ask if we're okay for a few more minutes,
Because
can I take a few more minutes here? One more minute?
5 more minutes?
for one.
Okay. I'd like you to do this because each of you is a light. And you should be grateful for the person sitting next to you. You should be appreciative and respectful of the person next to you. And so if you can just turn to the person next to you and say, I appreciate you, I respect you, I love you.
This is great.
So do that as an exercise with each other, please.
Yeah, oh, good. Yeah, okay.
I appreciate you, I respect you.
I appreciate you, I respect you, I love you.
Last night that I told him I have the greatest parents ever.
Yeah.
I said, I
I
probably don't tell
appreciate
them.
you, I respect you, and I love you.
Yeah.
Both of you.
I like, that's what they're doing.
I
Yeah.
like that. This is good.
Great.
We are all the light. We appreciate you in that room and we respect each of you and we love you.
Can they see us though? I think they just see Alexander.
This, okay.
Carl,
Okay.
yeah, Alexander on Carl's screen.
Yeah.
Can we switch it back?
Can we, yeah, pull it back.
Well, if we're gonna put it right back.
No, that's,
Or are we-
no, that's
No, I
good.
think we're happy.
Thank you, thank you. We'll switch to the group here.
Okay, thanks.
And let's get close to the camera so they can see our
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, what, once the, yeah, sure,
Yes,
okay.
where
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah.
We love
Do they
you.
know that? So, do they know that? Oh, yeah, right.
So heart.
Yeah, right.
They used to.
All right, yeah. It's probably, they're probably, no, they may be thinking we're finishing here. I don't know.
Biblical passage, Matthew chapter 5, verse 16, which says,
Yeah.
let your light shine.
What's his name?
So people around you, see it and praise the Lord. For example of us, I call our sister, Emilia, to give us those
I don't know what you want to use this one now.
Okay, sister.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's,
It's happening today for me is a grace. We are celebrating grace. My meeting with Dr. Martin
it's good.
So after that, if you
was
want,
a
we can.
divine arrangement.
I'm sorry. Oh, thank you.
Go ahead. Now,
Are you hearing me, Karen?
And it can cost.
Not much. The microphone, maybe.
Are you hearing me now, Karen?
That's better. Yes,
Better,
thank you.
better.
I say what we are celebrating here in Nigeria and in America is great.
We're getting some, I'm sorry to interrupt. Dr. Rose, could
Okay,
you
good.
mute,
Yeah,
please?
all right.
Thank you.
Great. Our meeting was divine arrangement. I never knew it would be like this, but I thank God that all is unfolding this way for the good of humanity. I thank God so much.
I'm sorry, Dr. Rose.
No,
thank-
she's on.
No, it keeps going on and off
Oh,
mute,
okay.
and that's why we keep hearing. Okay, go ahead, Mary Amelia. Sorry.
So I want to
Now,
say,
see, Dr. Rose is off mute again. Okay, now back. Thank you.
all we are doing here is fully sponsored by Dr. Bat,
Mute again, see it?
a visionary leader. I told him how we are organizing conference here in Nigeria, all the things we are doing, and he supported all of them. Because this is GodLight. What we have seen is really light. We ate, we drank, we saw the fresh air everywhere. So God has really shown us the light. Thank God for that. Before for that, I would like to call on one of the major team member of the GodLight in Nigeria to closing remark. The person of Reverend Father Barrister Juben Onya.
This is the team for GodLight in
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Sister Emilia. I am standing on the protocols established since yesterday. First of all, to give glory to God, who has made today possible and yesterday at this conference, because God is light. And His light has been shining on us since yesterday. I want to use this opportunity on behalf of GodLight Foundation Nigeria to thank Sister Emilia, whom God has used to bring us this light. When Alexander was speaking, he referred to Mother Teresa and her courage.
Mother Teresa.
And it was that courage that changed so many things in the world and gave us the gift that we still receive today through the congregation that she founded because of her vision. I think it is also the same courage that Sister Emilia had that made today possible. Why do I say that? This whole thing began when she attended a conference in Spain.
Yeah.
There were all odds that made it almost impossible for her to attend. I wouldn't begin to mention them here. So many of them, because I knew about that. But her courage made it possible for her to attend. And at that conference, he was the only Nigerian participant, the only African, the only Black person in the whole of that conference. And that is why I maintain that it was providential. God already began the mission of GodLight in Nigeria and decided to choose one person as the ambassador. And despite all odds, God in his own way brought that person to Spain to meet the GodLight International team. Secondly, they trusted her. Perhaps I am the only American citizen who attended this conference here in Nigeria. Why do I say this? I know how we Americans look at Nigeria because of the many terrible stories coming up from here. It made it a lot difficult. When you see a Nigerian, you remember those stories. But in your own case, when you saw Sister Emilia, the GodLight team saw the light of God in her. They did not look at her color. They did not look at her nationality. God revealed to them what he wants to do through this woman. It was your trust